I want to do a quick overview of second semester Math 3 for you. Unit 4 is about rationals. Rationals are fractions. And we're going to first start with sketching rational functions. And rational functions look like this. They have an asymptote horizontally and vertically. They have your normal a, h, and k, but they look kind of like this. Then we go to simplifying rational expressions. Here's the rational expressions with polynomials on top and bottom. And you got a factor top and bottom, and then like terms disappear because this creates a 1, and this is a simplified version. So in order to simplify, you have to learn all the factoring techniques again. So this little section is pretty long because we got to remember all the different factoring techniques. And then we also do some solving equations, which you have to use special techniques to solve rational equations. Unit 5 will be statistics. First step is classifying types of studies, and then from there we go into something called a normal distribution. It looks like a bell-shaped curve here, and we talk about the mean, standard deviation, z-score, margin of error, and confidence interval are all things related to the normal distribution. And this right here is something called the empirical rule. There's percentages and stuff related to it, and you'll learn about that. For Unit 6, we'll do trigonometry, and we talk about something called the radian and the unit circle. The radians are these things right here. They're a new angle measure. We normally use degrees, but we're going to develop something called the radian. And then after that, we develop this circle right here, which is a circle with a radius 1 on an xy axis. And these right here are coordinates of that circle. And these coordinates are special for sine, cosine, and tangent. And they really help you with that. And this whole circle here with all these angles in radians and degrees and these coordinates are called the unit circle because it's a 1 unit measure circle, 1 unit radius measure circle. After the unit circle, we transform trig functions. And you have something called the sine and the cosine graph, which you should recognize these from trigonometry from previous classes. And these are what the graphs look like. And we'll talk about them and model them and do more stuff. Because you see the modeling down here with something called an amplitude, period, and midline. The midline is the line in the middle. The amplitude is how high or low they go. The period is from one hill to the next. And we're going to do modeling, which is applications. Like over time, if an object displaces and goes up and down. We'll talk about scenarios where this is common. Because sines and cosines are very common graphs. We'll also be talking and graphing the tangent graph and some other trig graphs. In Unit 7, we'll be doing some geometry stuff. So we'll be taking three-dimensional objects and slicing them and seeing two-dimensional objects as you slice it. So you see a triangle there. And then we take 3D objects by revolving a 2D object. So you have this triangle and you spin it and you'll get this cone shape. And you take this trapezoid and spin it and you get this thing called a frustum or a truncated cone and different things like that. And then lastly, we'll be doing density problems, application problems. Density is mass over volume. You do a lot of this in science. And then we ended up with some area of compound 2D shapes and volumes of 3D objects. So we have this object right here, which is a truncated square pyramid. And then over here, so we were going to maybe find the area of this. So you got to kind of subtract a circle. You see some trapezoids here and all sorts of different shapes. And you try to kind of approximate areas of very unique looking shapes. So that right there is a quick overview of second semester Math 3.